This is an outrage beyond belief that somebody in the White House, a senior official, who the hell does this person think they are? Like, who elected this? I'm telling you, this goes back, the whole thing goes back to Reince Priebus, who brought all of these RNC, never Trumpers, hate Trumpers, no America First agenda in. The New York Times is a joke. It is an absolutely joke. They published an anonymous op-ed. It could have been written by anybody. An anonymous op-ed. Think about it. This op-ed, it's beyond treasonous. It's cowardly. It's selfish. I mean, who the hell do these people think they are? And then the New York Times publishing it. Can you believe this? This is the most corrupt town. This guy gets in. You know what? Here's the problem. You elected Donald Trump because you wanted to shake up Washington, disrupt things, you liked his policies, and you wanted to see him get things done and break through the bureaucracy and the establishment and the pig trough. This is what this is, ladies and gentlemen. Corrupt town in America. And there are so many people here that make so much money who don't do a damn thing. They don't produce anything. I've been telling you this for a year and a half. They make nothing. They manufacture nothing. They produce nothing. They do nothing. They do nothing. And yet they make hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in this town, and they don't want to disrupt the status quo. And this op-ed, unbelievable. The New York Times publishing an anonymous op-ed from someone who says he's a senior Trump administration official that excoriates the president, saying that he's unfit to serve, and then throwing out there that the cabinet almost invoked the 25th Amendment to remove him from office. And it's like, we just have to hang in there until he's out. And this is a guy that works for the president in the White House, in the West Wing, one of these rat weasels from the RNC or the Bush administration that Reince Priebus brought in. And I've been telling you this for a year and a half. Biggest mistake Trump made, Reince Priebus, chief of staff. There's only one solution to this. One solution, and Kelly can't do it. You have got to bring Corey Lewandowski in November the 7th, make him chief of staff, and clean out the whole thing. Fire every one of them. I tell you what Corey would do. He'd get him in a room. Corey Lewandowski would get all these SOBs in a room, every senior official, and he'd say, you got 24 hours to resign. And if you don't, every day you're all going to have a 7 a.m. meeting with me, and I'm going to fire one of you. And eventually, I'll fire the right person. I'm going to fire every single one. I'm going to put your names in a hat. I'm going to pick them out. And every day, one of you are going to get fired until you got the guts to come up and resign and say you wrote this scurrilous op-ed on your boss. I'm going to give you one day. And that's it. This is one of the most unbelievable things that I've ever seen. And I'm going to say it again. Trump's got one choice here on November 7th. I don't care if you win the House or lose, and I'll get to that in a minute. He's got one choice, and he has got to get rid of John Kelly. Nice guy, great general, needs to do something else or retire. He needs to put Corey Lewandowski in as chief of staff and end this nonsense. And I'm telling you what Corey would do. Here's what a Corey Lewandowski chief of staff would do. I'm going to say it again. Starting today at 7 a.m., he'd have a meeting with every so-called senior official in the White House. He put them all in there and say, I'm going to give you until noon to resign. And if you don't, we're reconvening a meeting at 12:01. And at 12:01, here's what we're going to do. We're going to put all of your names on a piece of paper. I'm going to put them in a hat, and I'm going to fire one person a day until the coward, weasel, gutless piece of crap comes forward. And if that means I wipe everybody out, I wipe them out. And you can blame that person. Eventually, I'll fire him because there's 25 of you here. I'll go 25 days. I'll fire you every single day. You know what? I'm better off with nobody here. That's what Lewandowski would do. He'd get him in a room and he'd fire him one by one until the coward came forward. This is unbelievable, this editorial. Here's what Sarah Huckabee said, and I'll get you to what the president said. After this person said, we're the adults in the room. The hell elected this person? Nearly 62 million people. This is a statement from Sarah Huckabee Sanders. She says nearly 62 million people voted for President Trump in 2016, earning him 306 electoral college votes versus 232 for Clinton. None of them voted for a gutless, anonymous source to the failing New York Times. We are disappointed but not surprised that the paper chose to publish this pathetic, reckless, and selfish op-ed. This is a new low for the so-called paper of record, and it should issue an apology just as it did after the election for its disastrous coverage of the Trump campaign. This is just another example of the liberal media's concerted effort to discredit the president, drive him from office. Now, President Trump has laid out a bold and ambitious agenda. Every day since taking office, he's fulfilled the promises he made. His accomplishments in less than 2 years have been astounding. The individual behind this piece has chosen to deceive rather than support the duly elected president of the United States. He is not putting country first, but putting himself and his ego ahead of the will of the people. And the right thing to do is resign. This is unbelievable. Elizabeth Williamsburg said, what if the person who wrote the op-ed doesn't even exist? What if it's all made up, just like the phony Trump-Russia dossier? 50-50 chance they made it up. I don't care what do you believe the New York Times? But probably they didn't make it up. It's probably somebody in there that, look, Trump's horrible. And what does the person say? Person in the op-ed says, he doesn't adhere to traditional Republican principles. He's against trade. He's for pulling out of Afghanistan. The only good thing he did was increase military spending, even the taxes. We did that. His instincts are, he's not a traditional Republican. Hey, I got a news flash for you. He eviscerated 19 of you traditional Republican weasels in the primary, clobbered every one of you. Because the people don't want that. The Republican Party is going the way of the Whigs. Trump saved them from themselves. There's no more Republican Party. It's a joke. They lie to you. They raise money. They play footsie with open borders. Their allegiance is to Lower Manhattan, Goldman Sachs, and the cheap labor open border crowd. What, Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan? Oh, is that the savior of America? You got to be kidding me. Trump came in and crushed the whole thing and put the Republican Party out of its misery for the party of Trump. And now you got this weasel in there saying, well, good thing we're the adults in the room here. Just want the American people to know we're thwarting the president at every turn. Forget the deep state. Other people talk about the deep state. It's in the West Wing. It's outside his office. This is the most outrageous thing. I'm 60 years old. I never in my life thought I would see something as egregious as this. And the New York Times, another gutless company for publishing this. If you got something to say, resign and say it. Oh, no, you want to keep your $179,000 job with all your benefits, right? You want to keep that so you don't even have the courage to put your name out there like we do in our business. What a piece of yellow garbage. If you're a Trump supporter right now, this has got to be the most unbelievably outrageous thing. And look, it's only going to go one of two ways here. There's no middle. There's no middle. And the president, fired back at the New York Times in a number of ways. I'll get into that in a minute. The president firing back, blasting this whole thing, blasting the Times for even publishing it. But this is only going to go one of two ways. One way is that it just feeds in to the dispiriting of Trump voters, and they stay home on November 6th, and there's a blue tsunami. And the Democrats pick up 50, 60, 70 seats, and it's over. That's one scenario, which is a 50-50 chance. The other scenario is the exact opposite. That any working person in America that's listening to right now, if you voted for Donald Trump in 2016, if you trudged out to the polls because you wanted to disrupt and change Washington and you wanted to protect your jobs and protect your family because you had enough of the lying weasel Republicans in Washington and the Democrats and the whole Goldman Sachs driven country, you had enough and you voted for Trump, your vote has been trashed. So you got one choice, and that is you've got to get up off your duff on November 6th, and you got to vote for whoever the Republican is on the ballot. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If they got an R by their name, it doesn't matter. Push the button. Other than that, the Republicans are going to get wiped out because, look, this is a concerted effort to get Trump out of office. The Mueller thing, it's all to get him out. And the guy said that, right? Or gal said that. And by the way, everybody knows who it is. I just can't say it. But the person is trying to get him out. And he said right there, we're just hanging on till we can get him out of office. That's all. Everything that has been done, from the phony, fake Mueller investigation to James Comey to the whole bit, the New York Times, everything that has been done is one reason from the day Trump got elected to get rid of open borders, to save the country, to bring your jobs back. Since 3 a.m. on November 9th, there has been a concerted effort to drive this man from office. Basically, what the establishment and the elites in Washington and Lower Manhattan and New York and Connecticut, here's what they've said. You know what? You voted for Trump. You're basically too stupid to have a job. So we got to fix this. You've disrupted the way things work. There's too much money flowing through the pig trough here. And we all feed at it. We don't produce anything in Washington. We don't make anything. We don't do anything. You give us your money, we take your jobs away, we outsource them overseas, we open the borders up, we bring all the illegals in, because eventually they'll vote, and then the Democrats can be in charge forever, and we don't really care because they'll preserve the system, and as one party, both, all they do is every 4 years, it's a karabuki game. The Republicans are for this, the Democrats are for that, they have a debate, it's all about power, nothing changes. Don't change a damn thing. Open borders, whatever. Nothing changes. Goldman Sachs and Lower Manhattan and Wall Street run the country. You elect somebody to change that, and the entire power elite, starting with the Republican National Committee, is out to get him out of office. Oh, let's put Mike Pence in there. He's governor, congressman, senator. He's one of us. We can work with him. He's certainly not going to do things like cancel trade deals and Paris Accords and things like that. I mean, oh, my God. And we can't be pulling out of these foreign entanglements in Yemen and Afghanistan and Syria. No, we can't do that because there is so much money on the table that we're all making. And our security clearance, we can't strip those because, we sit on boards of directors and, we make tons of money for doing absolutely nothing. And meantime, we ship your jobs overseas so we can make more money. The unholy alliance of all time. So some weasel, coward, yellow belly creep put in there by Priebus and the others at the Republican National Committee does this op-ed. If the phony Mueller investigation can't get him out, they think this will. Because here's what they're saying to you. Here's what they're saying to Trump voters. The ones in Walmart like us that Peter Strzok said, I came in here and I can smell the stink of them. That's us, right? Here's what they're saying. Basically, Trump voters are too stupid to decide who runs the country. You're just too stupid to have a job anyway. So we might as well ship your job overseas because you're really dumb as a box of rocks. And you came out and you voted for this guy, and he's like changing the way things have been going on here for 150 years. And our pig trough that flows through Washington, D.C., from New York down the Acela line, and we all feed on it, is at risk. And so let's get him out. They think you are too stupid to even vote, quite frankly.